What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the I Love Changing Lives show. And today we are diving into probably what is one of the most controversial topics I have ever done an episode on, and that is the biggest lies that marketers are telling us. All right. Now, whether you're listening to this on Facebook, YouTube, or my podcast, I want to say welcome. We're getting close to the end of this year, and I've got 2 to almost 3 really exciting episodes to come. But I wanted to start this one off, I guess, in this series of 3, because I feel it's in some ways the biggest trap so many of us are falling into on a daily basis. And I am the first person to put my hand up and admit that I have lived in this trap. I have adopted the same lies, I believed the lies that were being told. But it wasn't until I really looked at the data and I looked at the performance and I looked at the outcomes that I really started to connect with the fact that most of this stuff is BS, right? A lot of what marketers are telling us is all based around them being a marketer and being able to market something to make money from. It's not necessarily because what they are telling you is the truth. Now, I know that's a generalization, right? And I know it might sound like a scarcity mindset, but as I dive through this episode, hopefully you're going to connect and resonate with what I'm saying. And if not, at least I'm going to give you some things to really look at to, I guess, ascertain whether or not you've been believing some of these lies or whether they appear to be true for you or not. But I wanted to at least empower you with a fresh perspective around a lot of these things that I see going on in the online space on a day-to-day basis and how it's probably affecting your progress and your growth daily. All right, so number 1, okay, the biggest lie. And like I said, with all of these things, I am the first person to admit, right? I'm going to say it again, that I have been caught in the same delusion. Okay, I have bought into these lies at multiple different times in my online career. Okay, now let's get into number 1. The first one is that you need to be everywhere. All right, there's this belief at the moment that Facebook is dying and all of these changes are happening, that you need to make sure you're everywhere, that your content needs to be on LinkedIn, it needs to be on YouTube, it needs to be on Instagram, it needs to be on Facebook, you need to have a Twitter following, you need to be duplicating and putting all of your stuff everywhere. And I'm not going to say that I bought into this, all right, because I've already said that enough times, but what I want you to realize is that that's not true, okay? Because if I am dedicating my time and energy to put my stuff everywhere, right, how well do you think I am positioned anywhere, right? I've just got bits and pieces all over the place, and I haven't really focused in on one main area, like one main portal or one main medium that I think is the best medium for me to connect with my ideal clients. All right. And what I want you to realize is that being everywhere isn't necessarily connected to attracting more people into your business, right? And it's one of the biggest things, and I'm going to say it multiple times throughout this episode. There is a big difference between being effective and being efficient and making sure that I am focusing on what's important and shutting out the noise. All right, and the noise to me is this whole marketing belief, right? This whole story that I need to be everywhere. And let's say you do it, and I'll give you my perfect example. I've done that since November last year, right? I've got one Facebook page that's now almost at 10,000 followers. I grew my Instagram in a few months to about 5,500 followers. At one point on Twitter, I think I had 1,000 followers, YouTube subscribers, all of these different things. And I was creating content, and I hired a girl to help me duplicate and put this stuff out everywhere. So I was optimizing my time, but all I was doing was adding to the noise. All right. And that's why I've changed my entire structure now. Like literally, this is the only piece of content that I put out once a week. And my number 1 aim with all of these episodes moving forward is to give you actionable things that you can do. It's not to add to the noise with my opinions and my beliefs. It's to make you think in a certain way to help you get better results, to allow you to grow your business and attract more of your favorite types of clients. Like, that's my aim. And what I want you to realize is that you're probably spending a lot of your time being distracted, thinking that you need this tool. And if I'm going to be on Instagram, then I got to learn Instagram. And then I got to get this tool to post on Instagram. And then I got to do stories. Then I need a watch list. Then I get to 10,000 followers. So I got to do that. And I'm spending all of this time doing all of these different things. Okay? I'll ask you one simple question. How much of your time are you dealing with new clients, with prospects, with people that are growing your business versus trying to be everywhere? All right? Because one is adding to the noise. One is adding to your future growth, potential, cash flow, income, and impact. All right? There is so much information out there now that it was humbling for me to realize that a lot of what I was doing was only just adding to the noise that's already out there. Right? Thinking that I needed to do this stuff and be everywhere so that people would see me as an authority. Right? That they would see that I'm everywhere, so I must be an authority. But yet, you look at the data, right? And the data doesn't back up the fact that because people see you everywhere, they're more likely to buy from you. And I used to believe that, right? And it's going to be one of the beliefs that I'm going to dive into here, or one of the lies is, right, that we have to add multiple points of value to be able to ask for this sale, right? I own this one, right? Even used to preach it until I started to look at the data. Okay. And the data, I'll give you an example, all right, as I run you through this. But I used to believe that the more that people know, like, and trust you, the more likely they are to buy from you, right? So you just add value, add value, add value. And then there's this thing called reciprocity, right? People want to, give back to somebody that's giving out. And they're more likely to buy from you if they feel they know, like, and trust you. I'm not saying that's not completely true, but what I am saying that is a lie is the fact that that has to be in place before you can ask for a sale or before somebody will buy from you. All right. In the last 3 months, and a couple of my friends over the last 4 years have been selling $5,000 to $10,000 programs. All right. Even some of my clients right now are doing exactly the same thing. From a Facebook ad to a free training to a sales call to a sign up. All right. They didn't even know about this person before they saw their ad. They've never seen their content. Same for myself, right? I'm selling an $8,000 program at the moment. And in the last week, I've had almost 4 people. Today, it'll be 4 people that have gotten started with that in the last week that didn't even know about me beforehand. And I've got that question on their application form, had no idea who I was. But yet, from watching a value-based video, the only piece of content they've seen from me, booking a call, dealing with where they're at, not just listening to all my content about where I'm at, led them to want to do this for themselves and to purchase my program, to purchase my clients' programs. And like I said, a couple of my friends at the moment are earning close to $1 million a month, all right, with this simple type of approach. All right, so the data is there. And yet I've also gone the other route where I've created different ad sets based on, let's warm these warm leads up and then we'll lead them to this point, then we'll lead them to that point, right? So that we're only sending people who have seen multiple bits of our content our offer. And I'm not, again, saying that that doesn't work, okay? The lie is it's the only thing that works, and that you can't just ask for the sale from, like I said, one piece of content onto a phone call asking for a sale, $5,000 and above, when somebody knew nothing about you before watching that one piece of content. So when I look at that sort of data, it really makes me see that a lot of what we're being told right now is because some people, like, if everybody knew that that was the process that worked, right? And that was it, what would marketers have to sell? Because there's 3 or 4 people that teach that process really, really well. So if those people are teaching it really, really well, what am I going to teach? How am I going to attract people into my marketing agency, my marketing program, my marketing product? Well, now I need to talk about bots. And then I need to talk about, this different process of, slow lane, fast lane, whatever lane, right? And there's all these different things. And again, I'm not saying it doesn't work, But you've got to understand that a marketer's aim is to find something to market. It's not necessarily in line with what works. It's not necessarily a true representation of the data. And that's the biggest trap I think so many entrepreneurs fall into, is that we try something and then it doesn't work. So then we go look for the next shiny object, or that sounds really cool and those people have had success with that process, so I'm going to go try that now. And we don't solidify what we want to do based on how we want to do it, right? Like what's in line with the way that we want to sell our program, market our program, connect with our audience. Like what's in line with the way we want to do it. And then what do we need to do to position our offer to attract the most amount of people, right? If that's where we all stayed focused, that is business practical, business principles 101, right? It's being able to literally do that at the highest level consistently over time. That's the definition of a successful business, right? And selling it at a price point that allows you to have the profit margins you want to continue to grow and scale. But yet, if that's the only message that people shared, marketers would be out of business. And you got to understand what their intention is. And then you also have to connect back to what your intention should be and what is in line with your intentions. I know I've gone through that a lot now, but you've got to understand it's a trap. And one of the coolest things that I've ever done this year to really help with this is remove my newsfeed on Facebook. I never scroll on Facebook's newsfeed anymore, not on my phone, not on my desktop. It doesn't exist to me anymore. And the reason why that's been so powerful for me is now I don't see any of that other shit. It's not even in my realm. The only thing I'm focused on now is my stuff. That's it. And as much as we think we can block that stuff out, when it's in front of you on a day-to-day basis, right? Comparison and shiny object syndrome, it's real and it's there, and it's like putting a box of donuts in front of somebody who's trying to lose weight and their favorite food is a donut, right? Our favorite thing as an entrepreneur is to look for solutions, right? So you're sitting in front of this box of donuts all day, every day, and yet you're wondering why you haven't been able to grow and move the needle forward the way that you want to, because you haven't created a solution that's in line and a marketing strategy that's in line with how you want to do things. Cool? All right. Next one. Content is the only way to stand out in this environment. Ba-bong. I own this one, okay? Content is the only way to guarantee that you add to the noise. That's it, right? Why do I still want to do this show? All right? I still want to do this show mainly for the people that are on my list and for the people on YouTube that will want to learn how to create an online profitable business based around their passions. For me, that's it. Somebody starts searching how to create an online business, an online program, an online coaching business, all of these different things, right? That's what I want them to be able to find, content to help them do that. All right. In terms of Facebook and applying in the Facebook newsfeed and people seeing things on your Facebook page, it's so irrelevant, and so there's such a fast turnaround that literally, if that's your attempt at positioning yourself and being relevant, you've got to understand that it's a very short-term strategy, right? Why do you think stories have become so popular on Instagram and now Facebook newsfeed, and why Snapchat existed? It's because people's attention span is so small now because of the way that social media has conditioned them, that now people don't even want to read a post. They just want to see this thing that scrolls across in like 5 seconds. And it's look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. And we think that that's what we need to show people, to bring people into our world. And I used to believe that. But again, what I've seen is even if people are in your world, it doesn't necessarily mean that they want to buy the solution that you have to offer. And if you just want to be there to get that instant gratification, ooh, somebody liked it, and you see that little red thing going off, and you get that sense of recognition and that sense of, wow, I did this post today and I had 50 likes. But how much did your business grow? How much did your cash flow grow? How many more clients did that help you serve at a higher level? Okay? Those questions are the only questions that matter. And it took me a while to realize that I was believing this shit and creating my own stories around it. And that it was something I had to do, right? Because I was competing with the Joneses. You know, that person's doing that, so I better be doing that as well. I see that person's stuff everywhere. I need to step up my game. Instead of posting 3 times a day, now I'm going to post 5 times a day. Right? But again, how is it helping my clients? How is it helping my business grow? How is it increasing my cash flow? It doesn't, right? And all of these flashy stories about how I built a 7-figure business from my Facebook group, how I built a 7-figure business from my Instagram followers, how I did this, right? I'm sure all of those people had success with those different things, but is that in line with what you want to do, how you want to do it? Do you even understand how to do that? Or are you going to go waste 6 months trying to work out how, and then in the process, your business starts going backwards? It might sound like I'm being really negative, but like when you've seen people's businesses in the shape that I see them when they come to us for help, and then you see what they've spent their time on, man, it's sad to realize what we view on the scale of important versus not important, right? Where we put our time, energy, and focus versus what is actually going to help us and our business move forward. All right? That got me to my next point, that you have to post 5 times a day to even be seen. All right? Again, if you've got a group of people that resonate with your message, bring it down to 1 piece of content, like really high value content that people can take and they can implement, and that will make them think in a different way, that will challenge them in some ways, right? 1 piece of content a week is all they need. Anything more than that, it's just noise. They're never going to get to it. They're just going to save it. Why do you think Facebook's created things like save now to look up later, save now to watch later? Because that's how people are behaving. So let's just create it, make it even easier for them to do that. And how often do you go back and look at each of those things, watch each of those things, read all of the ebooks that you've downloaded, right? You don't. And that's the biggest thing I want you to realize, is that can I be effective versus thinking that I'm being efficient because I'm putting stuff everywhere and I'm being busy. All right, again, there's a big distinction that I really want you to grasp from this, all right? Next one, followers mean that I'm an authority and that people will pay more to work with me, all right? I love this one. I got a business that I follow, right? And I've done a couple of their courses to date. These guys earned $15 million this year. $15 million, right? They were in a coaching business. I think total between Instagram, Facebook, everything else, they would have less than 2,000 followers. Most people don't even know who they are as a brand when you search for them, right? When you Google them, they've got some great articles and testimonials and stuff that come up. But in terms of if you search them on social media, they don't stand up. Even their content, most of the time, it is purely based around the clients that they want to serve. It's not based around these general things that are going to create more likes, all right? And you've got to understand that people aren't necessarily, I would even go a bit further, people don't really care about the information that you have anymore. I know that might sound harsh, but it's true. And it took me a while to really wrap my head around that, because I was like, man, I've got all this experience, I've gained all this knowledge, I've studied all of these things, and now I have all of this knowledge to be able to help people. But people don't care. What they care is how you're going to be able to help them in the quickest way possible, and do they connect with your methodology to do that, right? I would even go one step further to say that in some ways, I don't even think they need to like you. I think they need to feel in some ways they can connect and relate to you, or you can relate to them. I do think that is powerful for sure, but I've seen lots of people buy lots of programs and have lots of success based on following a methodology, not necessarily based on following an authority that they thought was this cool persona, right? It's like, I know lots of entrepreneurs that look great on social media. They got huge followings. They're everywhere. They're posting consistently, but yet their business isn't making any money, right? So you have to decide where you want to fit in this world and what's more important for you to put your time, energy, and focus into. All right, this one I love. Facebook ads don't work anymore. If you guys were around pre the Google slap, all right, you would understand just what a silly statement that is. All right, when Google did the Google slap, the reason why it destroyed so many big businesses is because the way that people were marketing wasn't right. Like, it was in your face, here, buy my shit. There was no consideration for a relationship. There was no consideration for how it would affect the client or how the client would view it. It was just sales and marketing. Here's my landing page, buy my shit. Here's my landing page, buy my shit, right? Facebook is a lot more sensitive to that stuff, which is great because it forces the good marketers to do what they do best, which is share stories, which is to position their solution in a way to solve somebody's problem. It's not about, hey, here, buy my shit, or click on this one thing and it will solve everything, and have this one pill and you'll lose all this weight in 3 days, right? Marketers, if anything, a lot of those people have burnt so many different systems and so many different customers that it's only become easier now to stand out from the crowd, right? Are a lot of people marketing the same solutions? 100%. But what you got to understand is that there's a certain group of people in any market that are going to resonate with your story, that are going to connect with your methodology and how that's going to potentially help them solve their problems. And if you can get good at that side of things, that's how you're going to dominate. So it has nothing to do with Facebook ads not working. What doesn't work anymore is throwing shit up there, sending traffic to it, and just expecting to have sales, right? That's lazy marketing. And lazy marketing will always have a short life term, right? It's because I'm willing to do the minimum amount of work and expect the most in return. Whereas what you're not willing to do is to put in the most amount of work, even when you're not getting a return, because long term you will get a return and you'll stand out from the crowd and you'll be in front of your ideal clients as frequently as you can be. All right. That's the benefit of Facebook ads, is the fact that we can meet people where they're at. But what you got to understand is that alone can be enough, right? If I can position my solution in a way that people can connect with my methodology and see it as a way for them to solve their problems, that process alone is enough to grow a successful business without even worrying about all this other shit, without ever posting on Instagram, without ever posting a story, without ever running a Facebook group, right? That process alone can work for almost 99% of businesses. But we get disillusioned to think that we need all the other aspects. And I've shared with you enough times now, that was me as well. That if somebody's going to click on my Facebook page, I want them to see something. And sure, I want them to see something, but what do I want them to see? Am I just throwing shit up there, images and quotes and things like that because I think it's cool? Because I think that's what everybody else is doing and that's what I need to stand out as an authority? Or do I just need to bang out some good content videos, provide as much value as I can, and that's what people see when they go to my page? Right? The choice again is up to you and how you want to bring people into your world and into your business. Like, what's your methodology for attracting your clients? All right. Webinars don't work anymore. I almost believed this for a while, until now growing the amount of successful online programs that I have and now helping other people do exactly the same thing with a webinar and a free training, and that process I ran you guys through earlier. Like, people say these things don't work anymore, but it's such a load of crap because they're not looking at the data. They're not tracking these things. What's changed is that I could just throw up any webinar and people will just flock to it, and then I'll get a 40% conversion, right? That's changed because people are so used to seeing it that they're a lot more selective now in terms of whose training they will attend. All right. But if they see value in learning a methodology or finding out how something could solve their problems, they will dedicate the time to that all day, every day. And you think about it through the age of time, right? Network marketing, any solutions, presentations for corporate, buying a car, anything like that, right? Like, you've got to sit through some form of a presentation that as you're going through that presentation, you're working out whether or not this is the right fit for you, whether or not you can see yourself being able to adopt the methodology, have that thing, do that thing, whatever it is, right? That process is never going to change. And the reason why it's never going to change is because that's how human beings like to learn. That's how we like to look up things, right? Just seeing somebody's flashy shit everywhere and ads and landing page that looks pretty and everything else, people are making a 4 to 7 second judgment call, right? That's how long somebody's willing to stay on your page before they leave. All right, so at that point, again, do we want people to only have 4 to 7 seconds for them to make a decision? Or do we want to send as many people as we can to a presentation that truly adds value and allows people to connect with our methodology? All right, even if less people go, but the ones that go watch the training and then they want to inquire more because they connect with what you're sharing with them, I've already pre-qualified those people, right? Versus the ones who just click in the 4 to 7 seconds and take action. Most of the time, those are the deal hoppers. They're like us. They're the ones that are listening to all the marketers and clicking all the different opportunities and then, implementing probably not even 80% of what they're buying or what they're learning. They're just going from the next thing to the next thing to the next thing because they're waiting for the magic button. Whereas the ones that sit through a presentation and dedicate the time and really resonate with it and see whether or not they can connect with it and believe in it, and then they take the next step, they're already pre-qualified. And I'm not saying you're going to get a 90% conversion rate of those people, but I've already spent the time taking them through my methodology and working out whether or not they even can see themselves doing it, right? So when we get on a call, again, it's about them. It's not about, hey, here, look at my shit, right? It's not about, hey, here's my landing page, click and buy. And the only reason somebody is booking anything is because the time works for them, not because they connect with what it is that you can help them with. It's that instant quick fix that they want. They want the pill that's going to solve the problem, right? Rather than adopting a methodology that's going to empower them with the solution. There's a big difference there, all right? And I know which world I want to stay in because I know what's going to work in terms of core marketing, sales, and business principles that have never changed and they never will change over time. We've just got a lot more shit in our way right now that is distracting us from those things because that stuff's not sexy. It's not what people talk about all day long anymore because it's not sexy, right? If it was sexy, then most people would do that, but instead they're getting distracted. And now they think bots is the way forward, or Instagram's the way forward, or Snapchat. And you've got Gary Vee who carries 2 phones around every day so that he can make sure he's always onto everybody. And then he spends, time every day commenting on everybody else's shit so that maybe they'll follow him back. You think about that as a process. I'm literally dedicating my time and energy right now to other people's stuff. How does that even make sense? But yet we believe it because Gary Vee's an authority, right? Gary Vee does it and he has a big business, but I guarantee you the way he runs his business is not putting time and energy into other people's shit. That's where he likes to stay distracted. Whether he wants to own it or not, I'm not going to enter that conversation. All right. 2 more points here, right? You need to have a massive follow-up system as most sales happen after the fact. All right. This one I love, and I'm testing this at the moment, right? With my program I shared with you before, right? It's $8,000 US. And I give people 24 hours to make a decision. After the 24 hours, there's no follow-up. None, right? But they have a fast action taker offer that lasts for that 24 hours. After that, they go on my email list and they're there. They get these videos. They get other content emails that I'll send them throughout the week that are in line with what I've taught this week, right? So again, it's 1 message per week and just a couple of additional, thoughts or things around that 1 message or that 1 lesson. And what I can tell you is that having these long follow-up systems and everything else, again, look at the data. What I can tell you is that once somebody decides not to do your program, if they don't make a decision within the first 24 hours of either attending your free training or attending a call or going on a strategy session with you or whatever else, or a consultation, if they don't make a decision in that 24-hour period, like they don't say yes, less than 1% of them will ever come back. Less than one. All right. And that's across multiple industries, right? From offline businesses to online businesses. If somebody doesn't make that decision in that 24-hour period and they walk away, they're mentally and emotionally saying no to what it is you have to offer, right? And it's not even about negating the no or dealing with the objection at that point, right? You've dealt with that in the beginning. If they walk away without making a commitment at that point, or at least some level of a verbal or written commitment, right? Less than 1% of those people will come back, ever. Right? So you've got to understand that, am I wasting a lot of time creating this massive follow-up series and thinking that, you know what I mean, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to add this and add this and add this, and it's going to be so sophisticated, and they're going to do that and do that. Is that going to move the needle for it? Or could you put that time, energy, and focus into your marketing message, into your free training, into your product or program that you're trying to help people with, and you're developing it and building a team to help you scale it and leverage your time and all of those different things to grow your business, to move your needle forward, to be able to impact more people? Because how are you going to impact a whole bunch of people once they've walked away, right? A follow-up system is never going to do that. Them being able to gain access to this type of content and everything else, who knows? Maybe they'll make a decision later, but you just got to understand that it's less than 1%. All right. So are you dedicating too much time to doing something that a marketer told you it was worth doing now because they saw a greater, attrition rate, or a lower conversion rate? So if the conversion rate's low, now I've got to create this complicated follow-up sequence, right? Rather than just dealing with the fact that this person walked away. What do I need to do in the future to make sure that I pre-qualify them more beforehand, or that there's no way they would want to walk away? And I'm not saying that that's always a possibility, but I would rather put my time, energy, and focus into that, or discovering better ways to achieve that. All right. Last one here, and I sort of covered it a little bit, but that you need to position yourself as an expert or authority in your market to charge premium prices. All right. I told you that before. And this company, the last stat I'll give you that I've been working with, right, that earned $15 million this year, and it might be more by the time the end of December. 40%, all right, 40% of all of their sales. So what's that, like $4 million bucks? All right, no, it's more. It's like, don't trust my math, right? 40% of that 15 mil. People bought on day zero. All right. And what that means for them is that they clicked on their ad, they watched the free training, they signed up for a call, they decided on that call that we were going to sign up for the program, and they paid something, if not everything, on day zero. So before the end of that very first day, 40% of their sales. And for me, that just proves the fact that before those calls, most people didn't even know who they were. I shared that with you before. But yet, despite that, 40% of people who didn't know who they were decided to get on a call, committed to watching the free training, and decided to get started with their program. All right, and their program's at a $15,000 price point. Right? So, I mean, you got to really start looking at the data around that. And I know that's one example, but for me, it's just too obvious, right? Those of you that ever follow Sam Ovens, I mean, same. He earns $30 million a year right now running exactly the same four-step process. Exactly the same four-step process. And he doesn't even have much of a personal interaction in his program at all, or one of his programs. So you really got to, and he's not on social media at all. I think he posts once a day just for people that are in his world, right? The same reason that I commit to this once a week. All right. So thinking about everything I've run you through today, I know it has a slight negative connotation. The reason why I really wanted you to dig into this, or at least start looking at these things from a fresh perspective, is out of all the time, energy, and effort that you have to put into anything per day, are you putting it into the tasks that are going to give you the greatest return? Or are we listening to all of the lies that marketers are telling us? And when I say lies, they always tell it to you like it's a must, like it's the only way forward, and it's you have to do this, or things are dying, and if you don't do this, you're gonna miss out. All right, that to me is the lie part. I'm not saying that some of these solutions don't work, but do you need them all, and do you need to be focused or wasting any time on them if your current business isn't where you want it to be and it's not growing at the rate that you want it to grow? Right? That should be your filter for everything, because all this other stuff, I mean, to be honest with you, you don't need any of it, right? You really don't. And I've been able to now grow, multiple now 7-figure online programs with an email list of under 600 people. And I think the biggest Facebook group I ever grew was like 260 people, all right? But creating pieces of content like this once a week, which are high valued, and then sending people to a value-based video, whether it's a free training or a webinar, whatever you want to call it or how you want to structure it. I just don't like people thinking they're attending a live webinar when they're not, right? That's not in line with how I like to do things. But being able to share my story, my client story, being able to share my methodology, and then bring people into my programs that way around, there's a level of integrity and authenticity with that for me, because it's like if I stood in front of a room of people and I was going to share with them what I've learned, what I've discovered, what I've been able to help people with, and the story that was attached to that, and some of the stories that my clients have had since taking on the same methodology, right? Like that's exactly how I would want to do it. And now being able to do this online all day, every day, anywhere in the world, it's powerful. And I don't need to start worrying about any of the other stuff until this doesn't work. And if this doesn't work, again, I'm going to put my time, energy, and focus into the one thing that is going to move my business forward the most, that is in line with the way that I want to bring people into my business. All right? Setting up these bots where they click here, do that, do that, do that. And for low ticket stuff, I can understand it, right? Somebody leads through and they buy a $49 program or a $10 program, or even a $97 program. I get it. You don't need to have that personal connection with them. But for me and the types of programs that I want to sell and that I help people sell now, I want to have that level of human interaction. I want that person to feel like they can connect and relate, which is why I'm dedicating my time and energy and focus into only that one approach right now. And like I said, until that approach doesn't work, I'll move on to whatever else that I want to do. I'm going to leave you with 4 things, okay? When I say 4 things, but they're all in line, all right? Is that ultimately by being distracted by all of these things that we're being told we need, by dedicating too much time to scrolling on your phone, to listening to other people's shit, right? And I'm not talking about audiobooks, right? Like I'm addicted to reading and audiobooking and podcasts in terms of, is that knowledge going to help me become a better leader, a better entrepreneur, build a bigger or better business? That's the only stuff I listen to. I don't listen to how I can master bots, because right now that strategy is not in line with what I'm trying to do. I listen to a lot of autobiographies. I listen to a lot of high-level entrepreneurs and the way that they think and how they structure and run their businesses and their time, right? Because that's in line with what I want to do and help people with. But what I want you to think is, what is it actually costing you in terms of either dollars based on what you could be earning with that same time, right? Energy, focus, and results. So for me, right, at the end of the day, you've got a limited amount of time, energy, focus, and there'll be a result directly related to those 3 things. And out of the amount of time, energy, and focus that you've got, are you currently achieving the level of results that you want? And if you're not, that again is your filter, okay? Because right now, if I have a 20-minute window, if I have a 30-minute window, if I'm sitting in the car, am I scrolling and looking at other people's shit? Am I playing Candy Crush? Am I wasting time, watching cats lick monkeys' buttholes? Like all of these stupid things that half the time I still see my wife looking at on her phone, right? I look at this, I'm like, it's not even in my world. I don't want to see it. All right. But are you able to sit here and go, do you know what? I am dedicating the amount of time that's in line with what I want to achieve. I'm putting the amount of energy and focus into being able to achieve that. Or am I diluting that amount by wasting it on some of these other things that I've run you through today? All right. And I'm not saying that in time you might want to adopt another thing, right? Once you've got mastery in one area, sure, there's potential to take on another. Like for me now, once Facebook and everything continues to grow and I'm able to scale and hit the same numbers that I'm currently getting, I will definitely go on YouTube. Because the thing I love about YouTube is that it's a long game, right? Like I think currently now there's 2.8 billion people online. And in the next 2 years, that number will go up to 4 billion people, right? And what's the number one search engine in the world? It's not Facebook, it's YouTube, all right? Google, then YouTube. So, and it's all connected, right? A lot of the Google searches you'll do now, YouTube videos will rank. So for me, that's a long game. Like I want to be able to provide information for my particular group of clients for a long time moving forward. But currently, am I putting any time and energy into learning that and studying that and spending ad traffic on it right now? No. Not until I'm able to scale and grow my business to a certain point in a predictable manner that I'm then able to shift my focus to add on one more thing, right? And hopefully you've gained maybe a bit more perspective. I'm sure some of you are gonna argue with me and you'll probably be closed off potentially to even looking or thinking about these things that way. And look, if you'd talked to me 12 months ago, I would have told you 100% that I don't believe that's true. But the interesting thing when I think back to that point, the truths weren't mine. What I believed then weren't my beliefs. They weren't based on data. They weren't based on what I'd seen. They weren't based on what I was doing. They were based on what I was listening other people say. They were based on things I was hearing other people teach. They weren't based on me taking that thing, implementing it, getting the data I need from it to ascertain whether or not it was in line with what I want versus just something they were telling me. All right. And if you can do that and you can start filtering things out, and if I could give you one fucking gift, the greatest gift ever, get rid of your Facebook newsfeed. It is full of so much shite right now, right? That it shouldn't even be in your world. Right? You've got your Facebook group potentially for your clients. That's it. That's the only thing that I check in with now in my ads manager. That's it. I don't look at anything else, right? I use messages to stay in touch with my clients, but otherwise that's it. Like as a messenger service, being able to talk to a group of people at once and then being able to check my ads, that's the best use of Facebook. Everything else is a distraction. Watching people create 15 stories for the day. I mean, fuck, imagine having to think about that 15 times during the day and take a photo. Right? Like imagine how many more things you could do with that same amount of time and energy. Right? For me, it's been a great lesson to learn. And before we finish up, if you haven't checked out my free training yet and you want to find out how you can take what it is that you are most passionate about and how you can create a highly profitable online business, I want to invite you to do that, right? And do that before you head into another year and unsure about, how to create what it is that you really want, that's going to give you the fulfillment that you want. All right, and some of the stories that I share with you on that training will break down for you how other people were in exactly the same position and they weren't enjoying what they were doing. They weren't happy with the direction and they were spending time on things that didn't have a sense of purpose and didn't drive them at all. So I really want you to do yourself a favor and check that out, right? I'll put a link to it below this episode. Next week, I'm going to be diving into the top lessons that I've learned in 2018 and reveal some of the biggest mistakes that I've made this year and the lessons I've gained from them. So I'm excited to connect with you all then. I hope that you got what I wanted you to get out of today's episode, and I look forward to seeing you guys take that time, energy, and focus to create the level of results that you want on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis. Until next week.